So to begin this unit, we are looking at wireless communication. In today's lesson, we are focused upon how the internet works. So before we begin, we should consider why are we learning about how the internet works? Well, 19.3 million people in Australia use a smartphone. A smartphone is best defined as one that is connected to the internet and runs applications. Another interesting statistic is that 9 out of 10 Australian teenagers between the ages of 15 and 17 have a smartphone. They are actually using their smartphone up to 18 hours a week, and overwhelmingly, the amount of time they are spending on the internet is spent on social media. So the obvious question is, how does the internet work? Before we begin that, we should consider a few key terms. Internet service provider is a company who provides a connection to the internet. In Australia, the most commonly used internet service providers are Telstra and Optus. An IP address is a unique identifier of a computer and can be used to locate a computer that is connected to the internet. Transmission Control Protocol is a program that sits on all computers that actually deals with the internet data it receives. So let's take an example of sending a photo between two computers. The first thing to consider is that the picture is not actually a picture. It's a series of ones and zeros, which we refer to as data. Those ones and zeros are far too big to send in one big group. So to reduce the size of the data that's sent across the internet, we place the ones and zeros into packets. Each packet is given an address, an IP address, which is the location of the computer we are sending the packets to. For a variety of different reasons, the first packet that leaves isn't necessarily the first packet that arrives. Each packet is sent across the world through a variety of computers called routers. TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, will pick up the packets and check that they are all correct and they are all arriving. If there are any packets that are missing, TCP deals with that. Once all the packets have arrived, the zeros and ones are turned back into a picture and displayed on the person's screen. The path in which the packets go varies depending on a variety of factors, whether this is the country that you are sitting in, the country that it needs to go to, or simply the amount of traffic that is currently on the network. So the first place a packet will go is to your local internet service provider. From there, it will go across the world through a variety of different computers called routers. They will continuously check and make sure the packet is correct and pass it on to the next nearest location, eventually appearing on the receiver's device. This is happening millions of times a second, with packets being sent all across the world. The most common misconception about the internet is that it's a connection between two devices, one mobile phone to another mobile phone in this example. What's actually happening is the first mobile phone is sending a picture or an image to their local internet service provider. The ISP will then send it across the internet to an IP address. That's the location of a computer somewhere else in the world. We don't commonly use IP addresses because they're far too complicated to remember. So we have a simple name that's given to an IP address called a domain name. Once the computer on the other side of the world picks up your file, image, or text, it will then look at where it needs to go and send it to the appropriate internet service provider, who will send it onto the receiver's device. So take, for example, Snapchat. A good vast majority of people think it's between two devices, and that it only lasts for 7 seconds. What's actually happening is your Snapchat is going to your local internet service provider across a variety of computers all over the world until it arrives over at Snapchat's computer, and they save a copy. Your friend who is looking for your Snapchat connects to their local internet service provider, who connects to Snapchat, asking if there are any pictures or videos that have been sent. That information is then sent back to the receiver's device. At all times, a copy of the files are actually kept on the Snapchat computer. And those who are working at Snapchat are able to see everything that is happening.